Well, it's still connecting, yeah. Oh, yeah. Welcome, everybody. Today, we are at the second session of the second day, for me at least. This is the higher education institutions governance and new services. We have picked 3 interesting projects for you today to deliver the project results and the interesting information about the project. We have 21 people in the session, and the number is growing, already 22, so that's a good sign. Please, those who are not talking, mute yourselves so that the voices don't get all mixed up. We are starting with the TEIDE project with Laureano, and who will talk about his project with the presentation. Laureano, the floor is yours. Just to remind you, 2 things to remind before Laureano starts his presentation. 2 things to remind you. First of all, make sure that you ask the questions in the Q&A session. And to all of the speakers, we have very limited time. You probably heard it a lot. Please make sure that you have only 15 minutes. Make sure that you speak during that time. Okay? Laureano, please. Laureano?
I'm here. I'm just uploading the file. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You should press the present to audience and share the screen. Okay, yes, perfect. So, yes, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Okay, so now we're going to start. This is the presentation of a project entitled Towards Excellence in Engineering Curricula for Dual Education. This project is going to be presented by me, Laureano Jimenez from Tarragona, and from Natalia, the really heart of the project. So I'm going very fast for the sake of time. Those are the 4 topics we're going to cover. First, we were going to define the project. Then we will discuss about why dual learning and engineering. And then the last 2 topics will be covered by Natalia. Okay, so we'll cover the first 2 and Natalia will cover the second 2. This is the first topic about the project. This is an Erasmus group project where we have 16 partners from 9 different countries, and this had some difficulties because we have EU partners that know the EU rules. We have some partners in countries that were never involved in any EU-funded projects, and we have partners with limited experience in EU-funded projects. So that was some of the aspects were quite challenging for all of us. So we have a lot of cultural differences in the project. That was the main learning, or at least the first learning outcome I obtained. There was many differences. When I say something, my colleagues understand something different, and it was the same words. So and I use as an example the noise made by a dog. If you ask what we did is we asked our colleagues which was the noise made by a dog. So we were discussing about the same, but the results are quite different. So it was quite often that we discuss about things, but the same words have different meanings for all of us. So that at the end, that means that we have to dedicate a lot of time just to arrive to agreements or things that we thought it was an agreement, because we typically have the idea that in the European Union this is something understood and we have like a common language that is not the same common language in other places. So we behave like dogs at the very beginning. So everyone was using different languages. But at the end of the project, I think we arrived to an agreement, and we behave more than cats, because the sound the sound we use in different languages for cats are quite similar in most countries. So I think it was quite interesting travel for all of us, and very, very, very important. Okay. So those were the objectives of the project. The objective of the project were to promote somehow the internationalization of higher education institutions, because some of them do not have a lot of international connections. The second objective was to modernize and create dual higher education programs in engineering in particular. And in this sense, what was very relevant was to strengthen the relations with the local and regional stakeholders, okay? Those projects were created, and so we create also resource centers that were far beyond the project life cycle. And we also try to contribute to build lifelong learning trajectories for engineering, okay? With this, I finish the first part, which is a brief presentation of the first topic, and then I'm going to discuss a bit about why we should or we decide to do something related with dual learning. This is the first topic. So the reason we decided about dual learning is because we have to learn by doing. It's quite anti-pedagogical, a lot of blah, blah, blah with people sitting and not practicing. And this is very, very relevant in topics like engineering, for example. So this is represented in the figure. So learning by doing is relevant, and the most close to doing we can achieve in engineering is dual learning, okay? The second aspect is we have to train engineers. And engineers are persons that should learn to behave or to reply in a different way. Engineers are not like this animal. You know, this animal, whatever you do to this animal, they have just one answer. That's it, end of the question. Whatever you do, the answer is always the same. And the engineers in the future, they do not need this capability. This capability is not relevant for them. The capability that is relevant for them is, they have to be foxy. They have to be clever. They have to learn how to go somewhere and how to bypass things if they are not important. So, and to do that, again, dual learning has another value because they learn how to move, how to behave in different environments, and not just how to sit and respect the professor that is speaking a lot of time, okay? And also, we realized that also something very important was to involve the key stakeholders. We're used to the ivory tower of the university, so we create a new program of engineering because we know what is the truth, and that's not how the world works. The ones that know how and which type of engineers, which type of professionals are needed are the stakeholders. So we have to invite the stakeholders and we have to discuss with them. So we have to say, okay, which type of person, which type of professionals do you need? Okay. And we involve them from the very beginning, and we realize that the differences are very important, and also that there are regional differences. Maybe something that is important in one part of Russia is not that relevant in the other part of Russia. So even national-wide strategies must involve the stakeholder, okay? And this is quite, or at least was quite important. Also, the lack of vocation. This is something that is in Europe. In Europe, in the United States, there is lack of vocation. Nobody wants to study engineering. That's it. They don't want. But in other countries, it's not the case. So we cannot explain that to people in India, to people in Cambodia, because that is the other way around. So we think that this is something very relevant because it's very relevant for us in Europe. We don't have engineers, but for them it's not relevant. For them is, what the hell are you telling me? Okay? For them, this is not an issue. So some of the keywords are very, very relevant for Europe, for the European Union, simply do not exist in other places. So with this, I give the floor to my colleague, to Natalia, to continue for the presentation.
Thank you very much, and I hope, Laura, you will assist me with the presentation due to the limitation of the platform. And by the way, this is one more reason I am really keen on any international project, because you are so lucky to meet so many different people. And so I'm really praised for Laura to meet you. So what about the dual programs developed? So here I will describe shortly some results we have achieved. So it would be crazy if we would try to use any fixed procedure to create those grounds for project development. So we decided to create a common framework, some limits, some structures, some systems in which partners can operate, taking into account different backgrounds, different, as Laura said, different really vast diversity of the project partners. And involvement of stakeholders, I will again underline it, was the really core of the project. For example, here in Russia, we used, all the partners used the regions, created so-called regional councils for every program, so they can communicate easier within the program to be developed. Next, please. So this, Lauren, so this is a typical procedure of development of the program, and you see it is consequent. One, you cannot pass to the third step, so we have to use the same circle every time for every program. And also we need to take in account a lot of differences, a lot of peculiarities of the countries which were involved in the project. And it was great to learn from other people, to learn from other views of this world. Next, please. So, as I'm from Russia, and as Laura's always calling me the heart of the project, so I will present first the Russian programs. So you see, this is the programs which were developed using the dual approach in Russia. So in Russia, we have quite a balance between master programs and bachelor programs, even in between universities. It was interesting achievement of the project. And the topics covered for each region, both in Russia and in Cambodia, India, and China, will strongly depend on the peculiarities of the country, of the region even, where the university is situated, as Laura again said, that sometimes the situation from region to region in Russia differs a lot. So the case is for other countries as well. So please, next slide. So this is the results. Next slide will show the results of other countries, also quite impressive, I would say. And we would like to highlight that we even put our nose into the PhD level, as you see, which was not originally planned within our project, but the interest and the success of the project and the results achieved during the lifetime of the project promoted it even to the PhD level. So I would like again to underline, so there are different programs and different experiences within this project, from the development of the program from the very beginning to the modification of the program, to the modernization of the program, to use the dual learning, dual approach. And as the project, please next slide, as the project is quite short, so some programs are still under development and they are implemented now. So during the project lifetime, they were not running yet, but still they were not planned. Actually, the results were not planned. All of the programs were not planned. So we exceeded the promised number of programs in the project. So it was really interesting. The topic was interesting. It was appealing to use stakeholders, to use practice orientation in the studies, and so on. And some short take-home messages from our side to sum up. So we just realized again that during the project lifetime, that some notions, some definitions, some attitudes do not match in between countries and between regions and in between universities. So we need to find the common ground to move first, use the now approach within the project. And also, next please. And what was also our, let's say, take-home message, our by-side result. So the educational changes require monitoring and time to obtain indicators that can be measured. and measure the efficiency during the lifetime project, and sometimes it's simply impossible. But the number of the programs and the interest we saw in the interested parties were really inspiring for us. And the partners managed to speed up the development, the of the project development, and it would be absolutely impossible in most of the European countries, but still partner countries managed to develop and to approve quite a number of programs to be presented. Unfortunately, yes, during so this is all we would like to say about our project. We would be glad to answer any questions in the last session, question and answers. And if you would like to connect us, we have a last slide again, which is our contacts. Please do not hesitate to contact us if you have any questions on the project, on the results, and on the dissemination of them to your universities. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Natalia and Laureano. A very interesting presentation. I enjoyed particularly the meow meow part. It was really interesting to hear about your successes. Now we're moving to the next project, which is an INEDU project, and Elena Fedorenko will start with the presentation.
Okay, hello, dear colleagues. Now I'm selecting the PDF file and opening my presentation. Do you hear me well?
I hear you well. I'm not sure about the others, but for me, it's fine. I think
Okay.
if there was a problem, people would have,
Okay.
And I can see here if there is a problem with the bandwidth.
Okay, let us start. So, Yanin Yedu project results. And I would like to say that we are here together with my partner from Kazakhstan. And as for me, I'm from People's Friendship University of Russia, which is RUDN. And my colleague is Tursunzada Kuangalieva from Eurasian National University of Kazakhstan. And the content of our presentation you can see at the slide. So we will speak about 5 main topics of the project, and I would like to start with some general information. So the main task of our project was enhancing the integration of higher education and the corporate sector in accordance with the new social environment. The project was coordinated by an international working group of representatives of universities in 6 countries: Russia, Kazakhstan, France, Spain, Greece, and Hungary. And the global goal of our project was to build, in the condition of Russia and Kazakhstan, a working system of inner connections between universities and the corporate world through studying the experience of European universities in applying active teaching methods and getting closer to real business. And at this slide, you can see our consortium. So as I have said already, there were different countries and different universities. So we had 3 universities from Russia, 2 universities from Kazakhstan, and 4 universities from Europe. As for duration of the project, it was quite long. You can see that we start in 2016 and we finished in 2020. When pandemic started, and that's why our final conference was online. We were so eager to meet together in real life, but it happened that the circumstances were changed, and our finish was in online session. So what are the main results in educational and methodological development of consortium members? frankly speaking, I would like to say that we have changed the whole educational trajectory of training programs in our universities. So we have trained teaching staff. We have updating training programs. We introduced active learning tools like business simulations, and we significantly increased participation of business representatives in teaching students. Some more facts about working with the corporate sector. So as you can see at the slide, you can see some great companies of Russia, because I'm speaking mostly of the Russian side. You can see here like such companies like Sberbank, Danone, Coca-Cola, Yandex, Mail.ru Group. So the representatives of these companies conducting master classes, webinars, open lecture, or even special courses for our students. They participate in training programs development, and they participate in state exams and commissions. Now our Russian Ministry of Education issued the document where it is written that 75 of state commission should consist of business representatives. What next? Infrastructure and institutional development results. So now we are having entrepreneurship centers in every university of Russia and Kazakhstan. As for Rudayan University, we here now have International Employees Club. Also, we are working with international platforms, and every university has associations of university graduates, which are also working with business companies. As for Rudayan International Employees Clubs, it was created in November of 2018, and the main goal of it to promote our students to business companies and to help our graduates to find interesting job. So we connect not only Russian companies, but we connect students with international companies as well. Speaking about the Entrepreneurship Center of Rudayan, the same, I can say that the main goal is to have more close connection between business companies and our students. Here at the slide, you can see the picture of our Marketers Day, where we invite the representatives of different companies, the same again, Sberbank, Coca-Cola, Yandex, and so on. And our students were presented their projects of marketing, for example. As for other universities, as I have said already, every university now has a kind of center for students. And for example, Oryol State University has the Center of Economics and Business. And as well, you can see at the slide that the main role is to have qualifying resource infrastructure element that combines educational and innovating activities of the university into a whole system based on the best European practices. About Samara State Economic University, they also has the Center of Entrepreneurship with the similar function to connect our young generation with business. And now I think that I should give the floor to my colleague. Please unmute your microphone.
Good afternoon. With the help of the project, the university's interaction with experience has expanded, including with the Regional Center for Entrepreneurship Support. The Center of Entrepreneurship and Innovation was opened. Next slide, please. Business platform for interaction between business communicators and the universities was created in order to implement an educational program with a direct participation of employers themselves in organizing the educational process on the job. Next, our team has opened a well-equipped alumni center. Good synergy. The center is located a business incubator and provides a service to students and other interested parties. Next, please. Today, we can say about those actions that were aimed at disseminating the main results of the project. This is an activity on the presentation of the standard of interaction between the university and the business and the methodological guidance at various events in universities, in which representatives of the ministers of education of Kazakhstan and Russia and other state bodies took part. Next slide, please. The results of the study of European experience were presented at a meeting of the Republican Educational and Methodical Council, which was attended by universities from different regions. Branches of department were opened on the basis of employers. Next slide, please. The developed website contains all the information on the work of the projects, and the project includes a set of distribution and exploitation measures to ensure positive results. One of the important was the international, next slide please, web conference webinar on the presentation of good EU practice in the field of cooperation with higher education institutions with the participant of business communicators. Another step to disseminate the results of the project was the retraining of teachers. In turn, these trainers conducted training of the colleagues, which therefore will have an additional multiplier effect. Next slide, please. Overall, the prospects for sustainability are bright, practically regarding update educational programs, as they have become part of the regular curricula at the university, have been externally evaluated and have been included in the National Register of Educational Programs. Promotion of project results of the regional and the federal levels, and the development of the center entrepreneurship, implementation of federal and regional projects, use of the web resource developed within the framework of the Erasmus Class K project to support employment of graduates focused on academic activities. Next slide, please. Development of the integration with the Center for Career and Professional Development, implementation of the strategy for the development of Center in the Business Competences Development Cluster. The portal Yours and Career was created and works to facilitated interaction between universities and the business community at the system level. Next slide, please. The created infrastructure is a portal Yours and Career that supports graduates and employers, entrepreneurship centers for students in each university, a network of university graduates, their participation in the educational process, agreements with enterprises will continue to work after the project is completed. The spread of this experience will lead to the situation where more and more universities will be willing to connect to the process system.
That is all about our project, and now we would
Thank you.
like to.
It's a short video, so I will play that video for the audience. Thank you very much. Just a second. Okay.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, we would like to bring to your attention the project Enhancement of Higher Education and Corporate Sectors Integration in accordance with the new social environment, Yeni-Nedu. This project aims to enhance the relationship between higher education and corporate sector to promote the employment of graduates. Within 4 years, the project team, including 9 universities, has been working on this structural project. Project results and achievements have been presented to the stakeholders at various events during its implementation. One of the main results of the project is a standard and methodological guide in the cooperation system between business and universities. This guide will support the development of national and institutional systems of practices for the integration of higher education system and employers. The involvement of employers in the educational process ensures its quality, transparency, trust, and recognition of qualifications. The standard and methodological guide have been assessed both internally and externally and have been recommended for consideration to the Ministries of Education of Kazakhstan and Russia. Our project created Youth and Career Portal to facilitate the interaction between universities and business community at the systemic level. The alumni network and the project website play a vital role in ensuring the sustainability of the project in the future. At the moment, more than 3,000 graduate students of Al-Farabi Kaznu and 220 companies are registered in the portal. Registration of other universities and YNU graduates is in the progress. Team members from Eurasian National University established alumni office in order to track the employment of graduates, conduct regular analysis, and meet the needs of enterprises, as well as an entrepreneurship center. The business platform and alumni office enhances the collaboration of business communities and universities. A well-equipped business competencies development cluster was created in Al-Farabi, Kazakh National University. The cluster's performance has been presented to the country's top leadership, which led to a higher recognition of the project. The existence of cluster with modern classrooms and equipment has solved the problem of comfortable platform shortage for meeting with employers and intensified the conduct of additional activities for students. With the aid of these centers, many beneficial events were organized, advancing the use of project results and its sustainability. The project team of Al-Farabi Kazakh National University and Gumilev Eurasian National University is ready to cooperate with everyone who is interested in our project results.
Thank you very much. Very interesting indeed. We have less time left, so without any further ado, I will give the floor to David from ISOP project, a project well known to me, as this project concerns Azerbaijani institutions. Please, David, the floor is yours.
Hello, dear colleagues. I upload presentation. Just a second. Can you see the presentation?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So We would like to introduce Erasmus Class K Exchange Capacity Building in Higher Education Project, Advocacy Establishment for Students from Ombudsman Position, ISOP, and Ombuds offices where they are set up back in 2017 as a main result. It's a regional project involving 3 beneficiary countries from Eastern Neighborhood area, Georgia, Ukraine, and Azerbaijan, and its objective is to promote democratic student advocacy procedures in agreement with the Bologna process in the 3 countries from Eastern neighboring areas, establishing ombuds offices. Total from now 9 countries we are involved include Austrian Ombudsman's Office. And you can see 3 universities from Georgia, from Azerbaijan, Ukraine, Italy, Portugal, and Finland. How we came to idea to establish ombuds offices. Everything started in 2005 when at Bergen Summit in Norway, when Georgia and Azerbaijan joined Bologna process to lead the harmonization of educational system with the European higher educational area. In the short period since then, an impressive reforms package for the higher educational system were introduced. It consists of a series of regulation as a result of new structural units, the quality assurance service, with subunits at faculty level appeared in the structure of HEI. The 3 cycles, the higher education system has been implemented. ECTS credits and diploma supplement have also been introduced as a statally recognized HEIs. Legislation covered by the field of tertiary education and create as a legal basis for reforms, but also define the roles and responsibility of all players involved in higher education. The new legislation defines faculty members, students, and professors as the chief agents in higher education. As the educational system is focused on students and students' needs, the project was contribution in this direction. Students' involvement in the management of higher education was needed. Students had the responsibility to take initiative in managing their academic careers. However, they lacked the resources to deal with problems and academic issues arising along the way. It was evident there was a need to unite a person which would advocate for fairness, who would act as a source of information, referral, and assist in answering questions. Resolution of concerns and critical situations. Students' advocacy were chosen as one of the challenging issues in everyday life of all participant universities. Establishment of Ombudsman Office for considering to be way out. Increase the role of students in higher education of Georgia and Azerbaijan. Involvement in the management, promotion and protection of student rights. Students increasing responsibility to take initiative in managing their academic careers. So, survey among in Georgia, Ukraine, and Azerbaijan partner institution among the students where survey was conducted. The assessment was focused on finding only outstanding the needs of students and staff in terms of their rights, satisfaction with services they get, procedures they go through, and overall need to establishment of ombuds offices of their universities. The survey showed the students as well as the staff are faced with bureaucratic system that lacks sufficient human resources and adequately investigate students' complaints and academic administrative needs. Experience is related to areas such as student development and student activity services, where was acquired in the frame of previous campus projects. Student support and development service was of a great benefit. We have a need develop with European system for student advocacy in administrative academic issues, including academic EPS, disciplinary appeals, complaints, financial requests, health and materially related concerns. The need for European concept cooperation with evidence as Georgia as well partnering countries, the lack of knockdown knowledge and skills of this field. The concept of ombudsman is higher education was a totally new idea in the region. During the project activities, partner universities got acquainted with the existing model as a partner program country. Study visits were held Warsaw, in Italy, and Portugal. Completely, as I mentioned, the 3 universities from 2 universities from Georgia, 3 universities from Azerbaijan. Just a moment. No. sorry for this. And as a result, we received new concepts. We offered to came into extension of, as I mentioned, Georgian universities, Azerbaijan universities, and Ukrainian universities, and it was new idea for the universities. Razia?
Thank you very much, David, and thank you very much for our colleagues from Kiev for picking up our project for presentation today. I think it's a very important project to share with our colleagues as it concerns student services and student-centeredness model of education system in partner countries. And thanks to cooperation with Austrian Student Ombudsman Office, as you see in the map, and European network of Ombuds in higher education Ombuds offices from 3 countries appeared on the map of the higher education Ombudsman in Europe. Now Ombudsman offices from 3 different countries are appearing on the map. And since, like in any other consortium, we had a mixture of universities from Europe and partner countries. And of course, they all had different operation systems, different leadership. But there was one common core principle that we all agreed upon, that ombudsperson is an independent body who defends and promotes the rights of and legitimate interests of students at the university. So we also agreed that ombudsperson plays a role of a mediator in conflict resolution, in conflict situation, if it such appears between student and the university administration or leadership, and helps in analyzing the problems and generating and finding the solution for a problem. So also we, as a consortium, agreed that there will be 3 core principles that Ombuds offices are going to work on. It's neutrality, confidentiality, and independence. Ombuds office, of course, is useful, but at the same time is a flexible office to find a solution to keep up the maintenance of relationship between university staff, university administration, and students. Of course, to be engaged in such a complex issue, ombudsperson need a competence of providing information, which requires them to know university laws and regulations, assistance and advice to students, supporting individuals, an organizational unit at the university when they have to find a solution, providing proper information about the rules and regulations, identifying the source of the problems. All this requires them to know the university rules and regulations quite well, and also psychology of those people involved in the procedure. Yes, next. For this matter, I think if someone wants to set up Ombuds offices in the universities and want to be successful, they have to provide continuous training for an ombudsperson. They have to focus on the topics should be not limited to mediation, effective communication and public relations, university governance, statute of the university, code of ethics, law on human or higher education, basic employment and administrative law principles, and all the financial matters or student engagement, student enrollment, student maternity leave or academic leave, any issues related to student affairs, they should be fully aware of this situation at the university. Among our main findings, because we conducted, as David already mentioned, situational analysis with all these partner universities and among students, and we found out that institutional context, commitment, and policy it's vital in this process, which means that you have to gain support of your leadership, support of your administration. And luckily in our project we didn't have a problem with this, because Ombuds offices in all 10 universities in Pakistan successfully established, and they are functioning until now. And as we mentioned, the continuous training for an ombudsperson is very important, since they have to raise awareness among students. If students is not aware that there is such a service existing, and they have to, they can apply and solve their problems with ombudsperson at the university. Then there is no, cause for ombudsperson to be there. So awareness raising is one of the key functions that university ombudsperson should be doing. And to sum up with the ESA project, I would like to mention that there is a tremendous institutional impact of the project. Since all those ombuds offices has been established at each university, they are functioning, they are quite successful, and which has, of course, contributed to implementation of the democratic values of Bologna process. I mean, it's helps and supports to implement the Bologna process within these universities. And it brings up new cultural resolution to student affairs and administrative issues. There are less conflict, more efficient and effective use way of university administration. At the same time, we are trying to get involved in the regional cooperation. We're trying to get into the new projects if there is an opportunity. Yeah, there is a strengthening. Perviz, your microphone is strengthening of existing relationship, and there is a collaboration with ombuds offices around the world, especially European network of ombuds in higher education with active support of the ombudsman offices. That's all that I want to share with you about the ESA project at our universities. And our attempt turned to be very successful and fruitful since the collaboration is continuous and there is a collaboration among ombuds offices of these universities. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Razia. And this concludes. David, did you want to say something? Add something?
No, just only to add this was very important for us. Important idea which changed opinion at the university and the local level. It was very important for us.
I mean, I'm quite familiar with the project. I'm sure that as well as Lika, and with all the shortcomings that we are all aware of. I mean, I think the project reached certain success, and yeah, I'm happy that today we are presenting this project on this virtual stage. We have finalized with all the 3 presentations made by 6 people. I think there is one question. Let me see. One of the speakers asked a question. I would say, I hope this question does not open a Pandora's box, huh? But what can you say? It would be interesting to hear from all of you.
My question is a question to myself. The question is, which is my opinion of the support of the funding agency in such international and diverse project? In my case, I have 16 partners from 9 different countries, some of them with limited experience in EU funding projects and EU rules. And the support we obtained from the EASEA was limited. Let's say in that way, it was quite limited. And in some cases, it was not easy to manage some aspects because they say, okay, just try to solve those issues yourself, which was quite inconvenient because, for example, about the VAT, there was like hundreds of mails with the VAT, with the taxes. And come on, they should have done, for example, they should have said, okay, in China, do that way. In India, do that way. In Cambodia, do that way. But they say, no, each project manager just solve your problem, which was, I think, was not a good approach. Those aspects were quite complex. National regulations were very, very diverse. And if we think that project coordinators have any possibility to solve this issue was like a nightmare. And I think that the funding agency must solve those issues. If they want to be international, they must do that. Okay, and this is the message I want to say. I don't know if I'm opening I have other Pandora boxes, so I can open other Pandora boxes. Don't worry, I have many of them. But this is the thing. The message I think that the central offices should manage that because otherwise each coordinator is impossible to manage for us individually.
Lika, would you like to say something? I can see in your eyes that you would like to add something to that.
No, I mean, I can only comment. Yes, it's very complicated, But the question is that the head office in Brussels, they don't have enough capacities to support projects in so many details, believe me, because we are also facing the same problems. In countries where you have national Erasmus Plus offices, and I'm representing the one in Georgia, Paris represents one in Azerbaijan. In these countries, you have kind of local helping hand who can navigate you through the local regulations. But in other countries like China, you just mentioned, and all now African countries and Asian countries, Latin America, I think EU delegations could help a bit. But I'm absolutely aware of the problem you're mentioning, and I can only say yes, this problem exists, but I don't think that blaming the head office in Brussels could bring us any further, because we know exactly that their resources are also very restricted.
Plus, let's not.
If any partner from a particular country is able to obtain a document, then that's a clear indicator that there is a problem. If some manage and some do not manage, then at least there is a way. But in some countries, any partner managed to obtain those documents. And I'm asking just for help in these very specific places where any partner from this country was able to obtain some documents. Not an overall help in all countries, just for this.
Laureana, 2 points. Let's not forget that countries like China, Argentina, I don't know, Brazil, others, they joined the Erasmus Plus type of activities only in 2015. Well, officially from 2014, but first project started in 2015 and onwards. And the agency, never had a chance to work with them in this depth. I mean, I can see here Razia, I can see David and Lika, myself. We've been dealing with a lot of projects during Tempus era, and prior to that even as well, starting from 1995, 1990s, the projects were limited to countries, we call them Tempus countries, basically surrounding the European Union, and we've already established a kind of working conditions with all of them, knowing what to expect, knowing what to do. That's one aspect. The second aspect is that the EU and the agency always have this approach that this is a bottom-up initiative, and the project is needed for the countries where they are implemented. That is why they apply. That is why they ask for funding. And having too much by the agency to do, I don't know. I mean, again, there is a capacity issue, of course, the resource issue. Not the agency resources are very limited, and it's a pity. But let's not forget here for a moment that all of this is part of the capacity building. I mean, you yourself, your colleagues, knowing and learning on how to manage this type of project in these type of countries, especially China, difficult countries, closed countries. That's exactly the capacity building we're talking about. Learning by doing, learning by solving the issues. The agency is not always, we are not always able to provide the required support. Things happen. I mean, these projects are quite complicated to manage. And yes, there are certain rules and conditions put forth by the agency, such as VAT exemption certificate, which is hard to obtain in certain countries. In my country as well, there are certain limitations regarding the project registration, the apostille, the legalization of the documents, that even being in my own country, my own nation, or speaking in the same language, sometimes I'm not being able to respond to or to help with. That is unfortunate, but that's exactly the type of capacity building we're talking about, and that is why we appreciate very much all of your efforts. I mean, none of this would have been a project if it wasn't for the problems that we are solving, right? Trying to solve. Any more questions? Lika, do you want to add something?
Not particularly at the moment, no. I think I want just to encourage you to use this possibility for networking. After the end of the session, the lounge will be open, so please go there and use this space for more in-depth discussions, and use also this general opportunity to find your new partners, because we've seen already in chat a lot of short advertisements of universities and classes. So use these opportunities, because I think this presentation this morning Anila was providing us is opening new possibilities for cooperation. We've seen that we will be opening the calls by the end of November with 3 different strands of capacity building projects. And I think this fair has this kind of added value to have new networks and to find new partners, or to strengthen already existing partnerships. So just use this opportunity. And thank you very much for the great job you did. I really enjoyed all this representation. So you are great, guys. Because we know how complicated are these projects to implement. I mean, it looks so nice on presentations, with all these beautiful slides and videos, but we know what kind of work, sweat and blood stacks behind it. So it's not that easy. It's not granted. So my compliments. Great job.
Yes, I joined the LICA, and please make sure that you utilize all the opportunities that the AirMeet provides, including the bilateral messages that you can share with, searching for people. Just go online, look how many people are there, send a message, make sure that you leave your credentials, you leave your contact information. And as Lika said, we are having a new call for proposal, a different one with the different budget and with the different funding schemes and for different strands. So take this opportunity, and we've had quite a few years now of waiting, and people have been asking me, when is the next call? I mean, there it is, just around the corner, waiting for your application to be submitted. And make sure that if you have any questions, you can always approach the NEOs in your country or the EU delegation if such NEO does not exist. And we, as the supporting part of the program, are always there to support you, always there to help if such need arise. I mean, I know well all of the projects that are here in Azerbaijan, the colleagues, we've been working with them many years. I'm sure the same applies to Lika, who knows her audience, so to speak, or her target group. So we are there, and we are here to support you and to and make sure that your project runs smoothly, or the application from your part. Any more questions? Any more last words? No.
Well, if not, we can close the session and give people a chance to drink a bit of coffee.
Yes, we had 35 participants, more or less, during the session. So solid 35%, I kept, which is quite fine. And well, good luck, and hope to meet again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for hosting this event.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.